I am a sucker for a fresh start. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably have heard of the curriculum trend. The inner homeschooler in me that will never leave my heart gets really excited about this trend. And I have watched so many videos about what creating your own curriculum is, how to follow through, and different ideas with it. I actually think this is kind of the perfect time to start this because the first day of fall is, it's either the 21st or the 22nd. Alexa, what's the first day of fall?
In the year September 22nd.
Yeah. So Monday is the first day of fall, which is the perfect time to start something like this because you could do it in semesters basically, or seasons. I sat down for the past probably 3 or 4 days watching curriculum videos, trying to figure out what would be the best curriculum for me, things that I want to follow. And so I'm going to share my fall curriculum with you in hopes that maybe this will inspire you to have your fall curriculum, and you can share with me what you're doing in the comments. What are my interests that I have at the moment, and then how can I bridge the gap between being this desired self that I have and then myself that I am right now, and how can I bridge that gap? And I wrote down a few interests that I have, some things that I want to improve on, and then just some kind of more random things. And I know when I list this out, it's going to sound like a lot, but I will explain how a lot of these are already a part of my life, and I'm just refining them in this new framework. I have 8 areas of interest that I would like to expand on in my fall curriculum. And I may revisit this at the end and say that was too many, or I had to drop some throughout the semester, but I wanted to start with this because maybe I'm a little too excited and I'm going a little crazy, but I actually do think this is doable, and I'll explain. I really wanted to avoid having to spend a lot of money on any of this because I tend to get very excited about something and then invest a lot of money up front into it, and then I have a hard time following through. Before I invest in any money on, I don't know, like books or any kind of program, I really want to show that I can follow through on this for this, at least this first semester, and then maybe in the next semester I will buy a nice notebook for it, or I will invest in some kind of course. But I really wanted to make sure everything that I did in this semester was free or things that I already own. So if you want to do your own curriculum, you can see I will share a lot of the resources that I used for my topics and some advice on how to find free resources on your own. I am focusing on for the fall year is cooking, and this is something that has the more long-term view. I cook every single day. I love to cook, and I have pretty much taught myself how to do most of the cooking that I do today. One of my long-term goals is to eventually write a cookbook that I write and I do all the photography for and I design. There's a lot of gaps in my cooking knowledge in terms of things like knife skills, certain flavor components, recipe development, and all of those things. So I really want to learn a lot of basics when it comes to culinary arts and cooking. And I actually was able to find a kind of like a free course, really more of a TV series that Gordon Ramsay actually did, and it's called the Basic Cookery Course. It's actually free on Tubi. It's either 11 or 12 episodes. So every week I can watch an episode and I can implement the things that are taught and the recipes that are taught. I will watch the episode, I will take notes, and I will review my notes, and then when I go to do my grocery shopping for that week, I will purchase the ingredients for whatever recipe or thing that he teaches, cook it that weekend. What also is really exciting about this is that by the end of this course will be around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. So I can even, towards the end of my semester, I can host like dinner party where I cook all the food for it, or do something in terms of trying to exemplify everything that I learned from that course. The next one is something that, again, I do this every day, but I want to expand and deepen my practice, is biblical studies. I really, really do enjoy theological studies and understanding the more nuanced concepts and deeper ideas that are presented in the Bible. I am already involved in a Bible study through Bible Study Fellowship, which is a nationwide Bible study program. There's daily studies every single day, but they're not super in-depth. On top of that, I'm going to be incorporating certain biblical lectures from all different areas of biblical study. I think what I'm going to do is pick a lecture series to go through and then create some sort of quiz or response reflection paper at the end of every lecture series as a way to show that I am able to retain this information. Recommendations, I still am kind of trying to figure that specific part of my curriculum out. Moving on from biblical studies, this is literature. I love to read, but I don't read in a critical manner. I generally read for leisure. I would like to dive into kind of how I read when I was in my AP Lit class in high school, where, you're reading a material and you are studying more what the cultural impacts that this book had on at the time that it was written, themes and elements within the book, and how it affects me as a person. So for this semester, what I think I'm going to do is I am going to read 3 C.S. Lewis books. I have Beyond Chronicles of Narnia, I have not read anything else by C.S. Lewis. I'm going to be reading Mere Christianity, The Screwtape Letters, and The Great Divorce. Mere Christianity is the only one that is not technically fiction. I'm only choosing 3 books because I also want to be able to have the space to read the books that I also really enjoy reading, like my leisure reading. And these books I'm going to be actually sitting down, and I own these books, which is another reason why I chose them, is these are books that we already own, so I can sit down and annotate them and underline and write my own notes in. Film and photography, so I really want to dive into specifically my YouTube channel. I want to grow it, and I want to really expand my skill set when it comes to filming and understanding YouTube, growing my channel, all of those things kind of all in one. So with this one specifically, I'm going to just focus on my YouTube channel with this semester. I actually found a really cool video from a girl named Aprilyn here on YouTube. She has a really cool 12-week YouTube growth challenge, I guess. So it fits really well in with this semester, and there's a bunch of different tasks to help you grow your YouTube channel. So I will actually be following that week by week. One thing I have always been slightly embarrassed of is how poor my handwriting is. If I showed you my handwriting, you would probably judge me pretty hard. I have terrible handwriting. I always have. I think a lot of it is my brain just thinks faster than my hand can write, so it gets so sloppy because I'm just trying to write things as quickly as possible. I found a selection of practice sheets that I can print out from my library, and then I am also going to, kind of as my assignments, I am going to handwrite a letter to a friend once a week. I have always wanted to learn French, and for probably the first 4 months of the year, I was doing French on Duolingo, and I was really consistent. I actually found through my library, you actually get a free membership to an app called Mango, an actually pretty expensive and nice language learning app and course. So I'm really excited about this, and my husband actually said that he was going to do it with me, so we're going to learn French together, and then maybe for our, I don't know, we'll be married 8 years this year, so maybe for our 10-year anniversary we can go to France and we can utilize the things that we're learning. I love sewing. It's one of my favorite hobbies. After having kids, having toddlers and babies, it's really hard to sew because you have scissors and needles and machinery, and it's really difficult because you can't leave any of that stuff out. It's difficult to stick with sewing as a hobby when you have little ones. But my youngest just turned 1, and they're a little tiny, itty bit more independent now, and they sleep better, so I can either sew at night or I can sew on the weekends when my husband's home. And to start sewing for an hour and a half every week, probably on a Sunday afternoon, because that's a really good time. After we get home from church, my 1-year-old will nap, and my 2-year-old or my 3-year-old will kind of do whatever she wants during that time, and I can spend that sewing. And I want to learn how to quilt. That's one of the things I've always wanted to learn how to do. So I think I am going to find a very simple quilted tote bag tutorial or pattern and do that as a gift for a few of my girlfriends. I find the pattern that I'm going to use, I will also share it, or even in this video, I will put it down below. I love to exercise and work out. I lift weights 3 days a week, and I was running really consistently, but I'm kind of getting a little bored with running, and I kind of want to find a new active interest. I actually think I want to dive into more of calisthenics. One thing I've always wanted to learn how to do was a back bend, and not just like a back bridge, but be able to go all the way back and then like lift your feet up and do like a backflip or whatever. I'm going to add that on to my workouts for 15 minutes, 3 days a week. That is my curriculum for the fall semester. I'm really excited to dive into this. If you watched this whole video all the way to the end, thank you so much. And if you would like to follow along on my journey of exploring new things as a mom, I would love to see you comment down below and see what you're working on, what things you're trying to improve on. And I guess we will see you in the next video.